What's up folks, Perry the One-Armed Legend here once again with my anime journey series where I take a look at a few episodes of a series per week and give you my personal thoughts and opinions about them. Today we're going to continue with our little excursion to the explicit and implicit nature of the perverted series known as High School DxD. So, let's get started. Now when we last off with DxD, we saw Issei come into contact with a young nun by the name of Asya, a very sweet girl who just wants to heal people. She doesn't want anything to do with power. She has the ability to heal people through the power of her holy magic, but as well as able to heal Issei, thinks even though he's a devil. But thanks to certain circumstances, she is able to come through to Issei and find him just by pure coincidence. Go on and just hang out with him and act like a normal guy, which gives us a chance to see Issei. You know what? Not everything Issei does is being a massive perv. He actually can be a decent guy. He actually does want to have friends and is willing to put his heart in the right place. Unfortunately, that time is cut short when a certain ex-girlfriend, and I'm being really sarcastic when I say this, ex-girlfriend comes up in Yuma basically saying, you know what, I can't believe you fell for my little ruse. You were so horny to begin with, you were willing to believe anything. Granted, I can understand her point in saying, like, yeah, he is super horny to the point where he will think with his penis faster than he thinks with his brain. But at the same time, you don't need to act like a bitch about it. And during the course of this episode, we get to see a few more of the group members' powers, such as Akano, who basically strips down entirely and goes in this magical transformation of going to be this really kinky S&M schoolgirl being a really kinky S&M shrine priestess. I like where this is going. Not only that, but we even get to see a sneak peek of what Rias can do as the Queen of Annihilation, basically, and basically just tears these fallen angels a new one. It's a brief glimpse at what she can do, and I'm just like, come on, we want to see it. But again, I know they have to save something for later on in the series, so I'm not all that mad. Now, during the course of all this, Asya basically is dying, and the fact that her healing powers is basically the source of her life. She doesn't have it, she basically dies. Now that the fallen angels have stolen it from her, Issei wants to get it back, but then Yuma comes back and basically tries to rip him a new one after new one after new one, and then to the point where Issei is like, okay, at some point Issei is gonna snap, and when he does, oh, is it awesome. He snaps so far that he basically doesn't pray to God anymore. He prays ultimately to the Lord of Darkness and just says, hey, I don't want much, I just want you to give me the power to kick this broad's ass. And you know what? When he does, I was like, oh my god, clip her wings, please clip her wings. I was like, aw, I didn't clip her wings. Oh well, it was still satisfying to see him do it. Asya is able to be resurrected as a devil, thankfully under the command of Rias as a bishop, and as a healer and clergyman, which I'm thinking to myself, a devil clergyman, I feel like there's a little bit of irony in that statement, but whatever, either way. Asya is back, everything's all hunky-dory, and everything's great. Another thing we get to see during the course of these few episodes is that we get to see a little bit more of Issei's sacred gear in action, and known as the Red Dragon. And it makes it actually kind of curious in saying, like, okay, this thing can make the person more powerful the longer time progresses, but it actually takes a little bit of time for it to get going. And according to Rias, what is stated is that this thing, this sacred gear, basically works off the emotions of the person, and the more concentrated and focused the emotions are, the more powerful it becomes. Which makes me kind of worried and thinking to myself, okay, if this thing was powered by Issei's horniness, he would be pretty much unstoppable. Moving into episode 6, now that Asya has been resurrected as a devil, we actually get to see Asya, Issei basically live together in the same house thanks to Rias, and also move into the same classroom as him thanks again to Rias. And another funny element that comes into this is that we already know by this point that Issei is a massive pervert that was willing to fondle any woman that he comes across. But at this point, we also know that everyone around him, including his parents, his classmates, make fun of the fact that he is a massive pervert. Asya comes into the school at Issei's classroom, and everyone, all the girls are telling him, is like, hey, watch out for this guy. He's a massive pervert. He'll, like, have hidden cameras all over the room. And it's actually thinking to myself, okay, it would make sense that his classmates would act like this because, well, it's Issei. But his parents also are so worried about that they don't think he can make a decent husband or boyfriend. I'm just thinking, wow, what a bunch of douches. It's just like, who says that someone who isn't really into sex or really into hot women can't be a person with a good heart? Because at least if you saw the moment where he basically kicked the fallen angel's ass, you would know that he is a decent person and wants to do whatever it takes to care for someone. Although one thing makes me kind of curious during episode 6, there was something about a devil's three-way being mentioned, and I've never heard of that before. Time for some research! Well, that puts a whole new spin on the phrase a 2-for-1 deal. And you know what? kudos to Asia for putting up with this and saying, like, you know what, even though he may be a massive pervert, but he's still a decent guy and has his heart in the right place, although I can't say the same thing about his hands. So not only do we have to deal with Issei having a new roommate in the form of Asia, but we also get to see him not only suck with his luck with women, but also his contracts. Every time this guy gets a new contract, he always gets someone that is completely bonkers. One particular instance involves a girl in a samurai outfit that's trying to confess to her love, who just happens to be a literal knight in shining armor. And I can't help but think to myself, well, I guess while it may be awkward and a little bit odd by most people's standards, the fact that they are so comfortable with each other and they understand each other completely is like, you know what? Despite how odd this may seem, I actually am rooting for them and it actually is kind of sweet. But we also get to see Rias, in terms of her affection towards Issei, becoming more and more apparent to the point where she's spacing out a lot during the course of the series. And to me, it's a little bit funny when at the point where Rias offers Issei to touch her boobs for about 5 seconds, Issei at the worst possible time and thinking to myself, okay dude, you have a free opportunity to go for this, and you've basically been wanting to do this ever since you've met this girl. Just do it and get it over with and get it out of your system, although that might take a little bit more work than I suspect. Either way, he gets the most unnecessary interruption ever, and it just ruins the opportunity for him. But Rias basically tells him, it's like, look, just do your job anyway, and don't worry about getting a reward. Which I was like, okay, just basically trying to prove a point. It's like, you don't need to incent to do your job, and you are a servant to Gremory, and that she sacrificed basically all of her 7 pawns just so that way Issei could be the strongest pawn possible, which obviously shows that she's into him. While I admit there were no laser nipples this time around, I still enjoyed these few episodes. We actually got to see a little bit more of Issei's character being a decent person and not a massive pervert. But we also get to see Rias in terms of his affection for him grow, as well as get to see Asia be able to come to the group because she actually is a genuinely sweet character. So overall, I'd say I enjoyed these few episodes and I can't wait to see where the series goes from here. So there you go folks, that is my little assessment and my personal thoughts on DxD episodes 4 through 6. Stay tuned for the rest of this week where I continue my Bayonetta Let's Play as well as continue my Anime Blaze series with Hunter x Hunter the Heavens Arena arc. Anyways, comment below, tell me what you think, and until next time, I'm Perry the One-Armed Legend. I'll see you later.